What's going on, everybody? It's Haney here. I'm back again today with a different kind of video for you guys. I just put out my updating hitting tips video, and I've done a pinpoint video on my channel, but I'm really want to dive into how to pitch with certain cards, especially cards that don't have that sinker cutter meta. As you guys can see here, this season I am 32-0. I have a 2.49 ERA and a 0.75 whip. Mind you, this is most of it's on legend against good players, and I don't think I've given up a run in my last 6 games. If I have, I've only given up like 1. So I've been pitching very, very well. And while I've been using cards like Edward Cabrera and Lance Lynn, I've been pitching really well with cards like JACOB DeGrom and Shohei Ohtani. Now, I know Ohtani has a cutter, and JACOB DeGrom, his hits per 9 is very low, or very high, and that PCI is very tiny. Sometimes people don't know how to pitch with a card that doesn't have that sinker cutter, and I want to try to help you guys out and show you how to pitch with these certain cards. So today's video, we're going to highlight 99 JACOB DeGrom. You guys can see I have him parallel 3, and in 7 games since 36 innings, my webcam is blocking it, but in 36 innings he has a 2.75 ERA, a 0.61 whip, and 67 strikeouts, which is literally, it's almost 2 strikeouts an inning, which is kind of insane. So he is just 4-seam slider. I sprinkle in the changeup. The curveball is okay, and then he has the 2-seamer. So he really only has a couple pitches. Doesn't have that meta, sinker cutter. But what makes DeGrom so hard to hit is, when you play on those higher difficulties, that PCI is really tiny. That 102 fastball gets in on you really quickly. And if you could work his slider effectively and you can hit your spots, he's the best pitcher in the game, in my opinion. Again, we look here at his stats. Opponents are batting 172 against him, 157 against righties, 190 against lefties. We're going to hop in custom practice here. I'm going to show you guys how to pitch with 99 JACOB DeGrom. All right, so now I'm just here in custom practice. Obviously what I'm going to throw against the computer, the computer might hit it, but just ignore that for the most part. How pitches are hit in custom practice against a computer is completely different against what you're going to see against your opponent. So just ignore it. If I throw some pitches here and the computer rocks it, just know that it's completely random and there's nothing I can do about that. The best way on how you can gauge on how you're going to pitch with JACOB DeGrom for a game is you want to see in the first inning, what is your opponent sitting on? Is he sitting on that slider changeup? Is he sitting inside with righties against that fastball? So what I kind of try to do is, start off the game. I'm not saying I would throw a first pitch fastball because I usually don't do that. A lot of people are kind of looking first pitch fastball. I kind of try to not throw it inside. So, I'll usually start the game with like a slider low and away. I want to see if they can hit that slider and see what their timing is. Where's their PCI at too? That's another thing you guys want to look at too. When you're pitching with any card, this doesn't just go for JACOB DeGrom. Look at where your opponent's PCI is. Are they slamming their PCI to the corners? Are they kind of, people say center swinging? Are they really not moving their PCI much? Can you jam them in on the corner? So that's something you got to take into account as well. Look at your opponent's PCI when they're swinging, obviously with their swing timing and the feedback, and see where you can throw the pitch. If you throw it on the corner, is it going to get crushed, or are they just not getting there in time? So we have an 0-1 count here against Vladdy. I probably wouldn't go up and in. I'd probably go, fastball low and in. I want to see where my opponent is sitting. So I'm in a 2-strike count there. Obviously, this is a computer, but, maybe to start off, I'll tunnel that not really tunnel much, but I'll throw a curveball here and see if they're really looking for that. Now, see, that wasn't a good pitch. I was early on my release there, but, sometimes people are swing happy on those curveballs, and if you can throw them for a strike once in a while, I'll show you guys here in a little bit how I throw the curveball with DeGrom as a strike, and then you could throw it as a ball, and you get guys to chase on it. But, 1-2 count here. I really like throwing this slider up and away with DeGrom because of it being like such a hard slider. You could see right there, that was 94, that it has such a sharp break on it, a lot more than what a cutter looks like in this game. So I think it kind of screws people up. And when you throw that hard slider away, up and away especially, I'm going to throw it here against Vladdy. It's just really hard to hit. And I know it's a strikeout against a computer, but you're going to see feedbacks like that a lot against in online play. But one of my favorite pitches here with DeGrom is I really like throwing his changeup, especially away to righties. So, you know, I might start Acuna off here with a changeup. And that kind of hung a little bit, but when people are looking for that fastball and that slider, even though the changeup is 90 miles an hour, it's still slow enough to where it gets people out in front. And I really like throwing it for a strike. So say if I dotted that changeup on the black there, right? I would throw a slider in almost that same spot, and it gets people out in front, you know, just like that. And a 2-strike count here. You know, I'd probably throw a curveball in the dirt, but I'm going to show you guys what I like to do righty-righty with DeGrom's curveball. Is I kind of like to throw it like inside, maybe like right here. And I don't know if the computer's going to hit this, but online, if you can dot that for a strike, a lot of times they'll lock your opponent up, and, you know, they'll even be late on it because they're going to be like, oh, crap. They're going to react to it like really late. And, you know, it might be a weak pop-up or a weak ground out to the right side there. It'll be like a late or a very late feedback. But if they hit that, then you just have to tip your cap to them and say, hey, that was a good swing. But the reason why I like throwing that curveball is if I could throw that for a strike. So say I threw this for a strike here, and then later in the at-bat, you know, maybe I go to the curveball a little bit lower. It looks exactly the same almost, and they're going to swing over top of it because they know if you can establish that curveball as a strike, then you can start throwing it for a ball, and then you're going to get people to chase on it. So a 2-2 count here, you know, this is when I maybe go fastball up and in. See if they can turn on that fastball, and if they can, you know, maybe throw them a 2-seamer away or throw them a 4-seamer away. This is a great example right here. We got Prince Fielder up. I'm going to treat this as if Big Papi was up at the plate. So if my opponent, let's say if they've been early on a 4-seamer, or they've had good timing on that 4-seam, you know, 101, 102, I would throw them a 2-seamer away because it still looks as if it's a fastball, but it's slow enough. I'm going to let this drop so we can get in that bat in. It's slow enough to where it gets them out in front, and it's really hard to gauge the two. But if my opponent's late on a 2-seamer, I'm going to throw the 4-seam because it has that extra velo, and they're going to be late on that pitch and not make contact on it. But, you know, throw that 2-seamer away. He's late on it. I'd probably go change up in here. You know, I really like to throw a change up inside, especially low and in, because that's a really good pitch. You know, it's a good pitch to hit, but a lot of people don't hit it. But if you could dot that changeup, even on like this inner half here, you know, people are gonna look for a fastball inside. You throw that changeup on the black, it's gonna get people out in front. And once you could start dotting the corners, that's when you could start throwing pitches on the same plane. So if I throw that changeup here and it dots for a strike, I'm gonna throw the slider inside because it's gonna be on that same exact plane. And it's going to look exactly like a changeup, and they're going to get people to swing over the top of it, and it's going to be an easy strikeout. Let's say we'll start off this at bat. We'll throw this curveball and slide here to Vlad, right? I want to see if I could throw it for a strike here, because sometimes with par, it doesn't let me. But if your confidence is up, and you could throw that pitch for a strike, like right there, it just barely missed the zone. But, you know, it's going to get your opponent thinking. They're like, oh, crap, he's throwing that curveball for a strike. So when they see that, they're going to have to respect it, whether it's a strike or a ball. They're going to have to think, okay, well, he's throwing that curveball as a strike. And if they see that in a 2-strike count, they have to respect it. If you throw it close enough to where it's going to be a strike, they're going to swing at it. So in a 2-1 count, he's probably looking fastball inside there. So I would throw a fastball away. I really like pitching away on same-handedness, especially righty-righty. You know, I always say that hitting righty-righty is easiest for me, and I take away the inside part of the plate, and I feel like a lot of people do that as well. So the way I look at it is I don't want someone to be able to turn on a pitch. You know, if people are looking inside and they're looking to turn and burn, I'm just going to pound them with stuff just away. You know, I'm going to throw 4-seamers away, 2-seamers away. I mean, that was strike 4. Strike 4. That was strike 3. But the reason why I like throwing pitches away is it's a lot harder to go to right field, you know, even drive it back up the middle than it is to turn on the ball. So, you know, if someone's able, say I throw this fastball up and away here to Acuna, right? And someone's able to hit that to right field, I just got to tip my cap and say, hey, that was a good swing. And sometimes that's all you can do. But in a 1-0 count here, you know, I throw that fastball away. I'd probably go with a slider here, just kind of like a get me over. I don't know why, but the par is not working. He's he's throwing balls for some reason. Of course, this would happen when I go to record. But even throwing this front door slider is really good once in a while too. You know, with, like I said, with his slider being so fast, it kind of looks like a cutter. And if you can throw it for a strike, it's really going to mess people up. And like I said, I like throwing this curveball for a strike. That wasn't a good one. But once like I said before, once you can establish that curveball as a strike, throw it just a tad bit lower. It's going to look exactly the same. Now see, I can't get a damn perfect release. We're going to try it again here. There we go. That pitch looked exactly the same as the one in the zone. Like I said, Acuna there, he was late on it. Just unlucky that it was a hit. But that's the type of swing you're going to see a lot in ranked. Sometimes, you know, they'll swing over the top of that, and it's an easy strikeout. Like I said, establish that curveball as a strike, and it's actually a really good pitch of his. So like I said, you don't want to throw the four-seamer too much, though, in my opinion, because, you know, I feel like everyone in this game sits fastball. You got to take away the hard stuff, react to the off-speed, but mixing in that two-seam is so important with DeGrom, even though it might not look that great on paper. You know, I don't think the control is that high on it, but if you can throw the two-seamer and four-seamer effectively, there's just enough of a speed differential that's going to throw your opponent off, especially if you're playing on Legend. Like I said, I know not everybody's playing on those higher difficulties, but these tips still work, you know, in the lower difficulties against, you know, All-Star, and even when you're playing on Hall of Fame. I still think these are going to work out for you guys, because I had success with DeGrom when I pitched with them in Hall of Fame for a couple of games too. But like I said, your best friend is, you know, you got to judge in that first couple innings, how is your opponent swinging? For example, you look, I know this is a computer, but you look in the feedback down there, they're early and their PCI is not even touching it. So you know you're going to be able to dot on the corners a little bit more because they're not reacting fast enough with their PCI. But like I said, some of my favorite pitches, you know, with a lefty at the plate here, I like throwing this changeup inside, especially on a first pitch. You could dot that changeup inside. You know, they're going to be looking fastball. They might ground out to first there. They're going to get on top of it. You know, they're always looking for the fastball. Believe me, first pitch, no one's looking first pitch slider. If they are, they're weird. I like throwing fastballs away, especially up and away. It's going to be one of your best friends. You know, it's going to look very hittable. But a lot of people are going to ground out, or they're going to be late on that. They're going to roll it over. It's really hard to take a pitch the other way. It really is. You know, a lot of people, they're always looking to pull the ball. If you could work that fastball away, you know, work the changeup inside a little bit. What I really like to do sometimes is, like I said, I'll throw this changeup inside here, right? I like to throw it low and in sometimes. And if I've been dotting that for, you know, say a couple of pitches during the game, I'll just drop it a little bit lower. So just a little bit below the zone. And if you've been throwing it for a strike, they're going to have to respect it. They're going to think you're throwing that same changeup you've thrown them already for a strike. This one's going to be a little bit lower. You're going to get that strikeout. Maybe they foul it off, or maybe they just ground out to first or second there. But you got to judge and find out, how is your opponent swinging? Are they swing happy? Are they not chasing outside of the zone? These are all things you got to do with any pitcher in this game. But with DeGrom's stuff being so nasty, I think he just makes it a little bit easier, even though he doesn't have that sinker and cutter. But the one thing you still have to do is, I still think you have to test them once in a while with that fastball inside, especially up and in. So if you're not throwing it at all, right, you're really only hurting yourself. I mean, you have to throw it every once in a while. You know, people, they're still going to be looking inside, but you still have to respect it. You still have to throw it. He has that 102 outlier. Just don't abuse it, though, because people are going to start catching on to it. You know, those later innings, say the fourth, fifth inning, you know, maybe that second time around in the lineup, they're going to get a little bit more comfortable against DeGrom, and you don't want to keep spamming the same sequences over and over. And you know what? Sometimes you just have to get weird. You know, I like throwing the high sliders. I like throwing maybe like a changeup right here. It's weird, but it works because they're not expecting it. Like, who's looking for a changeup, say 3-2 there, right there, dotted on the inner part of the plate? Now, like, I know that's the computer, but that's going to freeze your opponent sometimes. They're going to look at that and be like, what the hell did they just throw me? The key with DeGrom is you have to be able to mix the four-seamer and two-seamer effectively. You tunnel well with the four-seamer and the two-seamer, like I said. You know, use that slider effectively, and you have to throw that changeup for a strike. especially away. I don't like to. Sometimes this works down in like middle, you know, just trying to throw it in the dirt. But a lot of people don't chase that for me for some reason. I think people are just known to lay off of that by now. But if you can, especially righty, if you can throw this curveball for a strike, especially inner part of the plate, just like that, like that's perfect. That's a really hard hit to pitch. You know, no one's looking for a front door curveball. Righty. Then with 2 strikes, drop the hook on them again, throw it as a ball. You know, that one almost clipped the zone, but a lot of times, like more often than not, you're going to get a swing on that, and you're probably going to get a strikeout, or they're going to fight it off, or they're just going to ground out to their left side there. So I hope that this video helped out a little bit. You know, I know DeGrom's one of the harder pitchers to hit, but not everyone knows how to pitch effectively with certain cards. So I hope this video helped out for you guys. If you guys are new, make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like on the video. I'm going to drop my links to my Twitch and my Twitter as well. If you guys enjoyed, like I said, I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you guys watching.